Welcome to Juice Live. This is your host, Juice. Now, today we have Chandler Bugg. Chandler Bugg is a well-known meat scientist throughout the world. Good to have you here, Chandler.
Thanks for having me, Juice.
Now, Chandler, can you tell me, when we as consumers go into a grocery store and we come up to the meat counter and we notice that there's some brown discoloration to our steak, now, can you tell me if it's actually spoiled or not?
That's a very good question, Juice. Many consumers believe that a little brown pigmentation on their meat is an indicator of bad or spoiled meat, and that's actually incorrect. It's just a color pigmentation.
Now, can you tell me what factors actually go into this pigmentation?
Of course. To understand this, I need to explain to you what myoglobin is. Myoglobin is the major color pigmentation in muscle or meat. Myoglobin is made up of heme rings, which has an iron molecule in the middle of it and has a free binding site on it. Depending on what is bound to this free binding site determines the coloration of meat. When a carcass comes in, you cut that first, as you said, steak, cut that first slab of steak off, it's going to be a purple color. The reason this is purple because water is bound to this free binding site. It hasn't been exposed to oxygen yet. So after you have this stage is called reduced myoglobin. After this, you have oxygen. If the meat is exposed to oxygen, this is a process called oxygenation, and you get oxymyoglobin, where oxygen is bound to the free binding site. Now, the color you spoke of, this brown pigmentation, is in a stage called metmyoglobin, and it is when a hydroxyl group is bound to the free binding site, and that's the color, that's the pigmentation color you're seeing, which actually it's just a little more exposure to oxygen. It doesn't mean the meat is spoiled.
Well, since oxygen plays a big part in the discoloration or pigmentation of meat, does like the type of packaging or wrapping that they undergo at the grocery store, does that have an effect?
That's a very good question, and you're right, it does. As you can see here, in this packaging, this is just what you will commonly see at a grocery store. And as we spoke of before, this is that bright red pigmentation you'd see in oxymyoglobin that many consumers like, and this is the way it's presented. As you can see there, that is just a styrofoam tray with a air permeable wrap around it. Now what I mean is air permeable is when you look at this right here, if you're looking at this piece of meat or you're looking at this packaging, air can go through this package here. It is not sealed. And as we just spoke of, that's what converts myoglobin to change these colors, is that air permeable base. Now they have other packaging systems that last a little bit longer. As you can see here, this is a vacuum packaged piece of meat. What they do after the meat has been cut off the carcass, usually, pretty fresh, you want to keep that purple color and keep it as fresh as you can. So you put this in a vacuum package seal. As you can see, you kind of have some excess here, and it sucks all the oxygen out, so there's nothing else for myoglobin to bind to. It stays in that reduced myoglobin state where it's just bound to water.
Now, can you tell me, do we look at color when we're actually cooking the meat on the grill? Can that tell us whether the meat is done or cooked properly?
A lot of people do look at color while it's on the grill, but that again is not a good indication of meat being done. A lot of people will, there's a wide variety of ranges how people like their steak, from rare to well done. Well, rare, you see the red pigmentation, it's a little, it's lighter color. Then you see the well done steak, which is almost black, like you see a hockey puck. So coloration again is not a very good indicator of meat being done. What I recommend using is just a normal kitchen, usually every household has one, meat thermometer, and I would go by USDA standards and say what to consider what doneness you prefer.
Well, there you have it, folks. Meat color should not persuade you in whether you buy this type of meat or not at your grocery store. Thank you, Chandler.
Thank you, Juice. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.